Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned Albino teaches you how to get better at Crash Nitrofueled. I got great tips of the medium to advanced variety. Let's have at it, fellers. Number 1, always be getting them Wumpa boxes. Having 10 Wumpa fruit at as close to all times as possible is essential, and especially build that up early in the race. Learn where the boxes are on the tracks you're racing on and aim for them when you need to. Wumpa over weapons in 90% of scenarios, especially on the first lap. If you encounter one of those rows of boxes where you have to choose between a weapon and a fruit box and you don't have max fruit, pick the fruit, always. Literally, unless it's the final set of boxes on lap 3 and you're not in first, always pick the fruit. Because the fruit is the catalyst for all good things. Boosted speed, better weapons. If you're racing without max fruit, you're handicapping yourself and no wonder you lost. Number 2, learn how to play catch-up efficiently. Doesn't matter how good you are, sometimes you'll be behind. Sometimes you'll be in the middle of the pack, or in second place, a good clip behind the guy in first. What you need to focus on is not just hampering the people in your immediate vicinity, but the people who are far ahead of you, and prioritize boosting your own standing as opposed to just attacking others. Shooting a missile at the dude in third might help you climb to third, but it didn't affect second and first place at all. So it's important to not hold on to weapons that aren't going to help you in the long run. That means throwing away bombs, missiles, potions, shields, and TNTs, and aiming for warp orbs, masks, turbos, and clocks. All of these weapons benefit tremendously from having max fruit, especially masks and warp orbs, so build up your stock before you unleash them. The worst thing you can do for yourself is lag behind the guy in front of you holding onto a missile and waiting for an opportunity to shoot him that will never come because you aren't out racing him anyway. Number 3, learn how to maintain a lead. Once you're in first, how do you stay there? Well, one obvious answer is to boost everywhere. Power sliding is mandatory, and when I say mandatory, I mean spam that shit. Everybody says this, but you have to, around every corner, and even on straightaways if you can get away with it. You can also use power sliding to maintain the ultra powerful boosts you get from super jumps and those certain turbo pads. You can tell when it's happening because your engine fire will glow bright white, and when that happens, you've got to maximize that efficiency by keeping that boost alive as long as humanly possible. You can shave double digits off your lap time if you master those sections of the tracks you're on. Now, something important to note here is that Crash Nitrofueled is a game that rewards an early lead. This isn't like Mario Kart where you'll face an onslaught of red shells if you do that. No. There are so few weapons that can reach a player who is sufficiently ahead of the pack that there is very little risk in rocketing to first ASAP. All you have to watch out for are clocks, which will likely hurt most of the people behind you as well, and warp orbs, which will also likely hurt most of the people behind you as well. This means for the most part, all you have to focus on is outracing your opponents while littering the track with whatever dangerous pollution you can. That said, if you get a blue shield, put it on and keep it to block warp orbs and clock effects. Also, for some reason, this game lets you get masks in first place, so, use those too. Number 4, take every shortcut every lap. In order to better achieve tips 2 and 3, you can't be afraid of shortcuts, even ones that are tougher to pull off, like Cortex Castle, although with Nitrofueld's seemingly higher jumping, all the jump shortcuts have been made noticeably easier, except Crash Coves, which still feels weird now. Hold on to your masks and turbos until you can use them to cut across a field of grass, or shorten a turn through otherwise slow terrain. Use power slides as a makeshift boost to make jumps like that Cortex Castle one, or in Papu's Pyramid. Do them even if you're ahead, even if you're comfortably ahead, if you want to stay that way. Number 5, learn to make sharp turns even in midair. The brake button matters in this game, whether you're doing that Dragon Mines loop, or navigating those Cortex Castle corners, or the hairpin turns of Slide Coliseum. A weird mechanic in this game is that you can brake in midair and still turn super sharply. Then if your jump is high enough and you let go of the brake before you hit the ground, you'll still get that airtime boost upon landing and jet off in your chosen direction. This is vital to master on tracks that have uphill ramps leading into hard turns. Just jump, brake in midair while turning, let go of brake before you land, and go. It's a great loophole to use with characters who have terrible turning, like Papu or Tiny. Doing a super wide power slide around a corner is not faster than coming up on the inside and doing a half-second brake turn to orient yourself, especially since most of those ground-based turns have turbo pads on the inside to reward you for doing it. Number 6, learn how to best use each weapon. There's not a ton of nuance here, but there is some. Firstly, missiles are garbage in this game, even worse than they were in the original, and they were bad in the original. Missiles are for close range use only. They seem to be programmed to take the shortest possible route to their targets, and that means if your guy rounds a corner, you're probably going to lose that missile into a wall. Basically, treat them like bombs with a little more autonomy. Speaking of bombs, if you don't have good aim, or your opponent is slightly too far ahead to realistically land one, toss them behind you. Even if you're in like fourth, throw them backwards, and you'll definitely catch the people behind you off guard. Aim for the middle of the track. People tend to gather there when they don't have any decisions to make. Save your warp orbs and masks until you have max fruit. Warp orbs, when maxed, will hit every person in front of you without fail, and boosted masks last a lot longer and make you go even faster. Potions and TNTs are obviously meant to go on turbo pads to block opponents from using them, although don't underestimate the utility of tossing a potion ahead of you directly in someone's path. Number 7. Find racer stats that best suit you. There are only 4 archetypes of race stats, and they do make a difference, but usually in a trade-off situation based on the track you're on. Characters with high speed and poor turning are great on tracks with no sharp turns, obviously, while characters with high turning are better at keeping hyperboosts active, which can compensate their lack of speed because they can turn and power slide without having to brake as often. Balanced characters are balanced, they're fine anywhere. People who have max acceleration are good at coming out of sharp turns and recovering from being hit. It really depends on your preference, but I've done well with all the presets, so they're all viable, though I can't speak for like the tippity top level of speedrunning when it comes to what's best for time trials and the like. Number 8, get used to repetition. Winning races is all about doing the same optimized thing over and over every time you play. It's super grindy, and it should be boring, but it somehow isn't. There's always the excitement of something going wrong, of you making a mistake or an opponent ruining your plans. Every track has the one way to race it the best, and you don't deviate from it if you want to win. We don't take scenic routes and crash Nitrofueled. Luckily for us, every route is scenic. It just so happens one is also the fastest. And that's pretty much it. So to reiterate the broad strokes, collect Wumper Fruit fast and early, use your brakes for sharp ground and midair turns, power slide all day long, take all the shortcuts, race the same lap every time, toss useless weapons ASAP, go for the fully charged masks and warp orbs, get ahead and stay ahead, and don't worry so much about the people in your immediate vicinity when there are other people surging ahead for you to stop. So that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at SunburnedAlbino. And stay tuned for more Crash Nitro Fuel content, among other things. And I'll see you guys next time.